minutes, so I have to talk before we eat. I hate making the same motherfucking speech, seminar after seminar.
Make a different one then.
No, well, the different one is you're all going to succeed. That's a fucking lie, because you're all going to fail. I would be disingenuous, and I would be just like all the other cocksuckers. You're going to know it's easy. And I got an upsell aside, so fuck your upsells. Nobody's inspired in this room. I'm it, or a bullet in your head, metaphorically speaking. I can't say that because one of you is going to blow your brains out, and then your wife's going to sue me, or your girlfriend, or somebody's going to sue me. So metaphorically speaking, you ought to put a gun in your motherfucking head. You got a nice fat head, a black head. You got to jam it up to the roof of your mouth. No bullshit, because we've had people blow the side of their cheeks out. They can't even kill themselves right. Now, you realize laughing and smiling is a coping mechanism for insecurity, you fucking idiot? Nobody's ever told you that before, have they? So tomorrow nobody's going to smile or laugh. It's a coping mechanism for your insecurity. You are a cunt. And when I say cunt, it means a coward. If you had a pair, there's a saying in the army, the military, sound off like you had a pair, Peña! Sound off like you had a pair. Does everybody understand what that means? A pair of these. You wouldn't be here. And who do you have to blame? Mommy and daddy. That's just who I am. And I mean, and nothing's gonna change me. I'm too old. This dog been around too fucking long to change. But this dog isn't gonna change. I don't give a fuck, you know. Sue me. I mean, I'll see you in court, asshole. We'll see who's got the best lawyer. You saw love doesn't mean shit, or love means zero. And I happen to know Nick, and I've talked to him. Number one, he doesn't know how to play tennis. Now, does everybody understand that? The world's greatest tennis player doesn't know how to fucking play tennis. He doesn't know how to play tennis. I've been saying for 26 and a half years, you don't have to understand this. Nobody believes me in this room. He doesn't know how to play tennis. What the fuck do I have to show you? Forget the fact that he's had 8 wives and he can't remember their name. Okay, that's the only thing you should have got from that fucking film. Now, hey, starting tomorrow, I want a camera up here to look at these fucking morons so they can see how stupid they look. What do I have to do? The greatest tennis coach that ever lived can't play tennis. Do you realize how many minutes, hours you waste on podcasts, books that you've wasted in your lifetime? Lots, right? You realize the time you wasted Google fucking me? Well, there are no secrets, there are only mysteries, there's no secrets. I mean, virtually everything I've ever done is on the net. And I said a couple years ago, just so you understand, I wipe my ass with my right hand. That's the only thing that wasn't on Google or on the internet. I wipe my ass with my right hand. And nobody even mentioned that. You know more about healthcare than he knows about tennis. Today, after 2 days. And you're still gonna go study. And you're still gonna do spreadsheets. Even though you've listened to 5 people, more or less, they say, how did you pick such and such? Mr. Peña says healthcare, telco, healthcare. But you're not gonna do that! Why? I want somebody with some huevos to stand up and tell me why you're gonna do the extra mile when it's not required. Tell me, I want somebody to tell me. Don't show their face on YouTube, just their voice. Why? There are places to go the extra mile. This is not one of them. Why? Because you're not serious. When a good-looking woman comes in the room, how long does it take you to ascertain that this chick is hot? 100th of a second? 1,000,000th of a second? Instantly, right? It transcends overcomplicating it. Because if you try it and it works, then in your subconscious knows this. Your little meathead, as small as your brain is, it understands this. As soon as you get the info, the secret sauce, so to speak, well, then now the pressure's on me. And Nellie said it beautifully yesterday. Then I realized the pressure was on me. And you don't want the pressure to be on you because you failed at almost everything in your life. What's going to be different about this? That's why. Because it's so, even though I'm up here, not arguably, the most successful financial coach in the history of the planet, and I'm telling you, and I produced all these people that have done it. Healthcare, telco, healthcare. Healthcare, telco, healthcare. You're going to hear a telco today. Healthcare, telco, telco. And you're still going to not jump in the breach. God almighty. You're looking at me like I'm talking Greek. And some of you will say, well, I'm in healthcare. The NHS is going to do this and Brexfuck and Brexit. All that is bullshit. It doesn't matter if Scotland falls off into the water and drowns today. Vis-a-vis Brexit. That's all. Those are excuses. They were already talking about the budget. On April the 5th, the budget comes out. And they're going to wait for what's everybody waiting for the budget? April, this is September, I'm here. The budget is in April, I'm here in September. Well, you mean we're going to wait with our thumb up our ass from fucking September to fucking April to decide what to do? Because of the budget? Fuck the budget. And that's one of the big excuses here in Britain. And some of the European countries wait to see what the budget's going to do, how it's going to affect them. Because we procrastinate, we want to push it out. And for whatever reason, I've always jumped into the breach. One thing about living in the streets, hit first and ask questions later. I was always the first guy, and now if you hit first, it's a criminal offense, you gotta wait, and you can only use as much fierceness or power as the other guy, you can't. Fuck that. If I can find a brick, boom! We'll see how tough Beast is when he gets hit with a fucking brick in the head from the back. There's certain guys you hit in the back. He's one of them. He's no problem for me. You know how when you touch gloves? When he turned around, boom! Fuck that Marcus of Queensberry shit, because you can't talk to each other once you leave here. If I find that out, and there are no secrets, kids, making money has always been easy for me. Always. Since I'm a little kid. You know why? Because nobody ever told me it was hard. Nobody ever told me it was hard to make a lot of money. Nobody had any money in our family. So I didn't have any negative bullshit. Well, it's hard to make money. Everybody in this room probably has been told it's fucking tough. I mean, first of all, you can't get money from the bank. You've been told that. Second, you've been told all these things, right? Well, nobody ever told me any of that shit. I used to think being arrested and being in jail and shit like that was gonna weigh on me as I got older, but it hasn't. Four or five of you in this room have colored past vis-a-vis the police, shall we say, and don't mean shit unless you shot somebody in front of Bank of America and Figueroa, downtown LA. Now, other than that, and we've had guys that, you listened to the gangbanger yesterday. He all look respectable now, doesn't he? He looks respectable. But nobody ever told me, not one single time. Now, I don't know if he bought Valentine's Day shit for his wives, and I don't know any of that, okay? I know I didn't. I haven't. Gifts that I've given my secretaries have lists. Didn't care. Because I knew it wasn't important. You're going to go Christmas shopping? What a waste of fucking time. Jesus Christ. Oh, and I got to get the right thing for Susie and the right. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? What a waste of fucking time. Remember little Johnny, fuck Johnny, if he doesn't have any toys, he should have had richer parents. You've been taught, some of you, that one person can make a difference. Not. There's been 5 or 6 people on the planet, not all of which are good, that have made a difference. Arguably Muhammad and Christ, arguably. I would question that. But Hitler made a fucking difference. You bet your sweet ass. A little Adolf. I can just see him as a little fucking kid. Little narcissistic son of a bitch. Reminds me of my own childhood, actually. They're not going to listen to you even if you charge them. I didn't believe that. I now know categorically it's true. So this started as, I don't want to say a good guy project, because I don't like that terminology. But looking back in hindsight over 25 years, it could be easily construed that it was a good guy project. Like you go to Ethiopia and you drill fucking water wells for the fucking, which is all horse shit. A waste of fucking time. But that's how this started. You remember who the doc came out smoking, and you remember the beast came out smoking like this, right? Well, I want you to come out smoking. We don't give it to you till the last fucking day. The last 5 minutes of the last fucking day. Because if you saw what I require from you, you'd quit today. And this isn't a bullshit idle threat. Today, you'd quit. I wish I had a camera to look at your fucking faces. I smell fear in this fucking room. You'd quit today. You don't have to fill out the paperwork. Fuck you. That's why the mentor is for free. So I can throw you out on your miserable fucking sorry ass anytime I feel like it. I get up and I don't have a pole vault, boy, you're out. But I can feel the tension in the room. I can see the fear in your eyes, and it's rightfully placed there. You become what you think about most. You have kids, right, Doc? The bullshit about you love all your kids the same as this horse shit. Because you don't. You love one more than the other. I hate that, but let's just say that we picked the one that you like the most, or love the most. And I put a gun in the kid's mouth. I said, you got 5 days to do such and such. There's a high probability the doc's gonna get it accomplished. No prepayment penalty. You pay off the loans either for the seller's note or the bank note. You don't want prepayment penalty, for sure. In other words, when you prepay the loan and it's a 7-year piece of paper, you prepay it in 3 years, there quite often is a payment penalty because you're taking their money, you're giving them their money back sooner, and they built it into a spreadsheet, and now you're paying it off. So they may charge you 2 points, 50 grand, 100 grand, depending on the size of the loans, but you don't want any prepayment penalty. When you list people that you called, and I spot check, people that you're supposedly calling to be a chairman or contacting, you put their name, their LinkedIn link, if they have a LinkedIn. Some people don't have a LinkedIn link. You put a link to a profile they have in Google and their phone number. And I spot check. And I call up and let's say the Goomba brothers list some guy and he's never heard of you. Oh, I meant to call that guy, but I forgot, Mr. Peña. You're out of the program. I can't wait to hear your excuses. You will keep track of from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to sleep at night, hour by hour. We have a French guy who fresh air walks 2 hours a day. I don't know what fresh air walking is. I think it's walking in the park or something. If you fresh air walk, don't list it. I'm not interested. I don't consider that exercising, you know. And big names respond quickest. Surprisingly, big names respond quickest. Just as, I respond very quickly. Now, if you do have an emergency, you think it's an emergency, email Kim. And by the way, the email reports come to a certain address. You're going to get that address from Thelma. Not Kim, not Vinica, not Thelma, not me, not Sally. For those of you that might have my email address, I hope you don't. But if you've got an emergency, you think it's an emergency, and there's really not many things that can be an emergency, you email Kim and say, can I talk to Dan? And you'll tell me what the agenda is, and I'll say it's not important. Or it is important, depending what it is. And even though you losing your chairman is not an emergency, losing your entire board is not an emergency. We've had groups that they lose their whole board because one board member will poison the rest of the board members against you. I know it's hard to believe that anybody would say anything bad about you guys, but they do. And it's normally about money, greed. And the closer you get to the goal line and they come to the realization, well, this fucker thing might work. And it's a €7 million deal, and they figure, well, this kid's gonna make €3 million on this, €3 million on this fucking thing. And what did he do? Nothing. What does he know? Nothing. How much money did he put up? Nothing. Who's putting up all the money? The banks. And then they go, well, fuck, this looks like a deal that I can take away from him. It's not quite that simple, but there are guys. Most of the people you're gonna deal with aren't devious. But the weekly report is for you. I can't emphasize this enough. Guys that write me daily reports, and I still get them, it's for them. They want the regimen of them doing it. The funny thing is that I read the report that they didn't want me to read. You know, I won't read 5 weekly reports from the guy, and then I'll say, well, I got some time. I'm looking, what the fuck? Kim, get this asshole on the phone. And the one that you did half-ass, that's the one I read. And that's just life. I mean, so the report system is bloody good, and it allows you to catch your own mistakes. It teaches you how to think. And you only get one. If you lose it, that's tough shit. Don't call somebody 2 days from now, well, I just tested and there's nothing on it. I mean, test it before you leave. Just ask yourself, would I have sat in those offices for 7 months, being thrown out of the offices, drug out of the offices to get 12 signatures? Not everybody, I know I do it. I've done it. The only way you're going to get it done is you're going to have to be there and shame the ministers into signing. And if the cold calls are, I cunted out, and then you complain about your problems, I'm not making more progress. If you actually read the fucking reports, I made no calls, sent no emails, I'm still deciding on the industry, and then you cry to me, I made no progress. This is, if your parents had done even a half-ass mediocre job, you wouldn't be here. And how have you benefited from the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of mankind so far? How have you benefited? Not a fucking at all. Why do you think Jocko is so fucking popular? Because he is one of the few guys on the internet, podcasts, that kind of thing, that acts as, looks like a real man. Now, the definition I get back from the snowflakes, well, what does a real man look like, Mr. Peña? Certainly not you, cunt, if you got to ask me. Some of you in this room waste 90% of the day. We don't plan to fail, we fail to plan. And that this is not dissimilar. Plan that you're going to follow is the plan that I was given when I was a young officer at NATO, that they still use at NATO. It's a military, it's based on military strategy. I comment on your reports. If we were at war, we'd be fucking dead based on the way you do shit. Because I base every decision you make on a day's life and death. And the only excuse is, you've already heard me say this, the only excuse is you're dead or you're in a coma. Because that's the real world at my level. It's not the real world that you've been associated with You want to be a big fucking hitter. You want to be a big dog and stop licking your balls and get up off the fucking porch and run with the big fucking dogs. The report is based on that. This is the big fucking dog report. And if you want to have some fun, as Sally would say, water it down. And for those of you that have employees, make them give it to you weekly. Half your employees will quit the first month. I get 100% guarantee. 100% motherfucking guarantee half of them will quit the first month. If you really want to have some fucking fun, have them fill it out daily. They'll quit the first afternoon. They won't come back from lunch. You have never been held accountable at the big fucking HIT standards. But it works. And the tighter I make it, the better it works. Like or hate Trump, they're the best numbers of our lives on jobs. And they're trying to throw him out of office. Do you realize if he gets impeached, if he gets thrown out, do you realize he can run again? Do you understand that? You fucking meatheads don't even understand it. But if he lost it in the Senate, he'd run again as an independent and win in a landslide. Don't you get it? And virtually nobody on the planet, other than a few meatheads like you that I train, are taking advantage of this, the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of the world. The greatest transformation of wealth in the history. And most of you haven't participated, not a dime. Because all those podcasts that you listen to, and there's not a man, woman, or child in this room doesn't listen to some fucking moron. We've only had 2 or 3 people in the history of the seminar, 26 and a half years, when I asked them, they didn't know anybody. They never heard of Tony Robbins. They never heard of Think and Grow Rich. They never heard of any of the things that you guys have grown up on. And they're all in the Hall of Fame. So what have you been reading? As they say in this part of the world, shite. We made the metaphor or the analogy I did yesterday. And it's really one of the reasons we box this one round is because you come out hell-bent for leather because you've only got one round and you come out smoking. You come out smoking like that, following QLA program, you're going to get rich. The challenge is you run out of gas after one round. You're going to run out of gas here too. 1/3 of you in the next 6 to 8 weeks will become sick, meaning your body's going to break down. I mean, you're going to get, for those of you that have never had the flu or a cold, you're going to get them now, no matter how good a shape you are, because mental stress is a lot tougher than physical stress. And for those of you that are really trying, and trying is not the operative word, doing, you're going to get tired. And you're going to think to yourself, how did that old fuck me used to work 5-6 days in a row with no sleep and drink like a fish and fuck like an animal, a vicious, savage animal. And most of my net worth was during that 10-year period. I only thought about one thing: making money, getting wealthy. I didn't think about anything else, to the detriment of my family, to the detriment of my God, to the extent that I believed in God back in those days. I only thought about one thing. But I'd wake up and I'd just, go hell-bent for leather, just like most of you did in the first round. But the anxiety when you leave here day after tomorrow will be pretty overwhelming for some of you. It should be overwhelming for all of you if you're fucking serious. For those of you that are old enough to remember Woody Hayes, arguably one of the great coaches of all time, his last game, I think it was against Vanderbilt, I'm not sure what, but it was a team they should have beat. A runner got around their left cornerback, as I recall, and was going to score a touchdown. The kids running around here, he took his headset off, threw it on the ground, threw his clipboard on the ground, and tackled him himself. He knew when he tackled that boy, his career was over. But to let a fucking skinny running back from Vanderbilt, of all schools, score on the mighty Ohio State, he would rather end his fucking career. There's nobody in this room that's got that kind of gumption. He knew he was chastised. He lost his pension. His world was over. There's some things worth dying for. Somebody come in and spit in your mother's face. What would you do? There's only one right answer. 97% of you answered, I would ascertain where he was in his state of mind. Now, what in the fuck does that have to do with the guy spitting in your mom's face because he had a bad day? 97%. Instead of, I'd pick something up, a brick, a board, and I'd beat him to death. I'd get 15 years and I'd get off in 3. The world is fucked. Now, we've already heard the doc whine about it's Christmas and out of the goodness of my heart. Well, that's not going to happen. You can close a deal before the year end. I'm positive you can, because I know there's such a thing as seller's finance. Absolutely you can. But you'd have to hump, be obnoxious. You'd have to be pushy. You'd have to be the things that you weren't raised to be. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And for those of you that have closer to that end of the continuum in your natural personality, you'll succeed faster than the other guy. I have not carried cash, credit cards, or check in 30 years. Sally gives me 20 pounds when we're in London in case I get lost. She gives me only $20 in New York. She should give me more money when I'm in New York, but she doesn't. Albert Einstein, when he was at Princeton, they used to put cellophane tape, a nickel, behind his coat collar here, because that's how much the phone call cost in those days, a nickel, because he didn't know how to get home. I'm not trying to equate to that I'm Albert Einstein, but in this fucking industry, I am motherfucking Albert Einstein. For those of you that have higher education, you're going to fail. For those of you that are Asian, you're going to fail. For those of you that are devout religious, you're going to fail. And I'll explain to you in the next few days why. If love and religion got the job, none of you motherfuckers would be here. Who are the most religious people on the planet? The poorest! And why are they the most religious? Because they have no fucking hope. But they're smart enough to understand it. You dipshits aren't. Your homework I read at lunchtime. I don't have lunch with you. I'm not here. By the way, this is not a networking butt-fuck deal. You're banned from contacting each other once you leave here. If I find out that you contact each other, you're out of the program. I tell the young kids, don't talk to the old guys, because lack of success rubs off. That's why you are where you are, because of your families. We're gonna find out really quickly. And if you don't do the thing, you're required to say, I cunted out. I can't wait to read your fucking report. And you see 40 or 50 I cunted outs out of 70-some things. It should send a message to you, Doc. You probably wasted your money. And why do I use the words I cunted out? Because I want it to be graphic. I want you to see all those CUNTEDs, one after another, after another, after another, after another. I can figure that part out. But the point is, when you see it, because you're going to be held accountable for almost every single second of the day. This started as a goodwill gesture that's turned into a fucking hemorrhoid as big as a football in my ass now. Because once I got into it and I said, well, I've always been the very best at whatever I've done, whether it was selling or fucking or drinking or whatever. And so I was going to be the very best at this, which I am. There's no question about it. There's nobody even that is remotely close to producing the results I produced with you guys. Because one of the challenges of some of the guys that are going to be dinosaur hunting or elephant hunting is time is of the essence. And we can get money back, but we can't get time. There's a reason I don't have breakfast with you. There's a reason I don't have lunch with you. And I would not like to have dinner with you, but Sally makes me. I'm not there to bond at dinner. Familiarity breeds contempt. The more friendly you get, the less accountable you make people. It's harder to fire your brother than your fifth cousin. It's harder to fire your mom as opposed to somebody that you went through the interviewing process and you hired. Familiarity breeds contempt. Our daughter says, Daddy treats everybody the same like shit. And that's my badge of honor. I'm consistent. I treat everybody the same. And I already told you at my 70th birthday a few years ago, my kid brother, my wife, our kids all got asked the same question 20 times, is your father really like this? Because the guys that I poke fun at, the other gurus, that's not their real personality. Not even remotely close. But they have a show face. Some people call it a game face. And there's a method to my madness in the questions that you filled out. What's the highest performance thing you've ever done? What's the highest performance thing your parents have ever done? Siblings. Some of you say 0, 0, 0. Because you were raised, for the most part, low standards. Low standards equates to low self-esteem. Low self-esteem equates to lack of self-confidence. And I can go on from there. And I've met with a few of you, unfortunately, and it's already come up. Am I happy? If you came here because you thought you were going to get happy, you came to the wrong place. You wasted money. If you don't think money can buy happiness, you don't know where to shop. Of course, the other side of that is you never had any money. 2 or 3 of you are from reasonably well-to-do families, and you're still here. Most of you are from shitbag families, and you're still here. One of you is from a rich family, and you're still here. Success leaves fucking clues, you fucking morons. It's not where you come from. It's not how you were treated. It's how you interpret how you were treated. No. It's monopoly money. It's like rupees. It's worth nothing. The reason why the kids like it is because they're afraid they're going to make a wrong decision. I haven't made a mistake on a board member, but I've been doing this 50 years. I know who to pick. I know, the questions to ask. I can smell a thief. Even before I ask the question, have you ever done anything that would preclude us from getting the financing? Based on the questions that I've asked before, I already know the answer. It's like all the questions I asked you. Highest performance thing you did, highest performance thing your partner did, highest performance thing your parents, blah, blah, blah. By the time I know you're a loser. Those questions aren't there by accident. Within, I say I'm 95% right. I'm really 99% right. But the lawyers say I can't say 99 because 95, the courts have ruled and blah, 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 But I'm 90, I know based on your questionnaire whether I should send you your money back. Once in a while, I'm surprised. And you kids, I'm going to be the one that surprises the old man. Please, surprise me. But I know when I go, doo-doo, remember? I know who's going to go over and who's not. I know before I go, okay, lads, over the top. I already know who's going to go over. And that's why I love to make fun of 6 guys with 6 packs and the peel pushing and all that. All that physical exercise is a manifestation of not successful in the rest of your life. Understand what I just said? And I used to be a power lifter. So, I took 3 or 4 years out of my life when I had already made a bunch of money to go. I tried to get to be 300 pounds. That was my goal. I could only get up to 287 pounds no matter how much I fucking ate. I could only get to 287. I blocked the sun out. I mean, I looked like when I came through the door, I was just a door. That's 60 pounds more than I weigh now. I made Brock Lesnar look little, but it was just a waste. I was just jerking off. I had made a bunch of money, and it took me 7 years to lose all the weight. It's easy to gain that shit, but it's a bitch to lose it. Now, I used to fill these fucking things out. Now I'm just like a little puny fucking you. I look like you. But if you like me, at the end of the seminar, I did something wrong. And for those of you that I've shared some words with already, and if I don't seem friendly, it's because I'm not. And I'm not going out of my way not to be friendly, because I don't give a fuck if you died today. There is no upsell. There's nothing. When you really fall in love with some of these deals, you're going to fall in love with wrongfully. I really wanted that deal, the deal that they spent a bunch of months on. But normally, 9 times out of 10, if it takes you a fifth that long, forget next. Some people, the bank accounts they show you will be bogus. They'll have their son run their affiliate marketing income through their home health account, and you don't know unless you dig into the numbers. I like bank statements myself. I'm old-fashioned. I like to go see the bank manager. Can you verify this shit's for real? I'm old-fashioned. I don't, because you can do a lot of shit online. Well, and some of these guys will mislead you, not on purpose. I believe all misleading is on purpose, but some will mislead you because they're just stupid. And some of the most stupid are docs. Docs are a dime a fucking dozen. And when you find out how uninspired these people are that you revered because of their education and their place in life, you find out they got no fucking money. It can be debilitating. It's unbelievable how little these fucking, almost every single day somebody made £1 million or $1 million, which is dog shit. But to them, it's a big fucking deal. 2 weeks ago, I got an email from the same guy. His wife was tearful, afraid that it wouldn't close. Now, how supportive is that? If the bitch is gonna cry, let her cry in the fucking closet. Those tears and that sadness rubs off, but the kid still closed it. And if you could see the picture, you know who I'm talking about, if you could see what he looks like, you'd say, well, fuck, if that fucking worm can do it, anybody can do it. And what does he know about coding? Nothing. Most of you in this room know more about coding than he does. Don't you see it? God almighty, I still look at your face and you still don't believe it. Don't you see? These guys don't know fuck all about nothing and they're billionaires. And you want to know all there is to know. Don't you see? God! Makes me want to cry. Don't you see the fucking disparity between you fucking meathead idiots and all these big hitters? Success leaves fucking clues. All the stuff that you've been worried about all your fucking lives. Like I told you yesterday, 75% of the questions that have been asked so far in the seminar will never happen. Never. 95% of the things Josh Kim worried about the first 3 years didn't happen. But you're still, I can see it in your face. And part of the reason, as I alluded to yesterday, is because when you think you have enough information to succeed and then you don't pull the trigger, the onus is on you. And if you think you have enough information to move forward and you fail, the onus is on you. So the reason you don't is because you don't want the onus on you. You don't want the responsibility. You may decide to use QLA over the next 25 years. You may decide whatever, help your grandchildren live QLA, but you're not. But you can never say again that you don't know how to fucking do it. You can never say again that the myth that you've all, or most of you have lived through, that money's hard to get. In some cases, you've heard money's impossible to get. But then if Whipple was here, he'd say, well, how many times have you asked for it? I won't say 0, but close to 0. Or did you ask for it the right way? He fired the bottom 40%. Now, fire, not replace. There's a big difference between sacking, firing, without replacement. They went from almost 400,000 employees at GE to about 150,000 employees. The market value, or the enterprise value of General Electric, went from like 60 billion to 400 billion with 250,000 less employees. He is, one of the great CEOs, but he's tough as fucking nails. They used to call him Neutron Jack. A neutron bomb kills all the human beings but leaves the buildings. And I have a reputation, I've sacked. I'm not proud of all the people I've fired, but it's not the people you fire that kill your business, it's the people you don't fire that kill your business. That's it. Self-esteem is the bedrock of high performance. You may not choose to use QLA once you leave here, but it is forever in your DNA, even a little. And you can never say again, I didn't know how. You don't know what you don't know, etc. Because you may not choose to be the conductor of the orchestra, but you have the ability, come when you leave here in a few days, to conduct a financial orchestra for the first time in your lives. And it all gets back to your verbal skills. You only have 2 times to make a first impression. 1, how you look. 2, when you open your mouth. That's it. You can't go back and change that. I am only interested in cash flow lending, which is in the scripts. She didn't find out whether they were cash flow lending until she's already there. And then and they will, even if they tell you cash flow, they're going to say, and what assets are in the deal. And because they, no matter what, they're going to go out there and reach, and they want a secondary and a tertiary method of repayment. And the secondary and or the tertiary is you, and that, but you got to hold your nerve. Jason Nagy is a classic example of not putting up spit for all those radiology practices he purchased. But believe me, they will ask. They may even demand. Then you say, fine. And she also did something. She's one of the first, I don't know if she's the first gal to do it. The takeaway. Takeaway closes. In other words, we're not in agreement. Fine, you keep the deal. I'm out of here, and leave. Takeaway close is good for 25% reduction in the price, but they might not call, and that's your fear, and that's why you don't do it. 50% of the time they'll call you, 50% they don't. But it takes balls to do that, especially when you spent 19 jillion hours finding the asshole. They all say the same thing. You follow the fucking thing, the model, and it works. And so if the model doesn't work, it's you, not the model. So I don't say the pure simplicity. I say it's simple as shit, and a fucking chimpanzee can do it. So where do you rank in the chimpanzee? You tell me. Based on your success heretofore, you're closer to the chimpanzee. And IQ's got nothing to do with it. Education's got nothing to do with it. Except for the exception of the doctor. I mean, we're not dealing in life-death shit here. These are not life-death decisions. And you're not going to die from your failures. You're not going to die from your mistakes. Although you heretofore acted like you're going to die from them. So you refrain from doing them at all. You pull away. You don't step into the breach. I'm going to say, I want you to run towards the gunfire and kill everybody. Just come out smoking. Just come out swinging. And there's no downside other than embarrassment. And to me, you can't hurt my feelings. You can't embarrass me. It would be, as I used to say 35 years ago, piss on my face. I don't care. Just give me the fucking money. I don't care. But self-deprecation is a trait that almost all the high-performance gals and guys have. They can poke fun at themselves. You guys, not just you, but the guys that come here can't poke fun at themselves. And there's certain cultures that are even less inclined to poke fun at themselves, i.e. the Swiss, the Germans, the French. The more I'm out there and the more mistakes I see you kids make, which aren't the mistakes I would make, but they're still prevalent, is that I see shadows now. So now I see risks differently. I'm 74 years old. When I was 35 years old, there were no risks. It's like when you go through a combat training course, and then the guy pops out at the window, and then a woman and a baby pops out of the window, and you shoot them too because you're just shooting everybody. And so now, my eyes are pretty good. Well, now I hesitate before I pull the trigger. I fucking hesitate, and that's a recipe for being dead. This is very politically incorrect. I mean, you shouldn't be shooting innocent bystanders, but when you have the choice and you have to pull the trigger quickly, there's collateral damage. And the old bullshit adage, it's not bullshit, to make an omelet, you're gonna crack eggs. And I've never had an omelet that didn't have a little bit of eggshell in it. Somehow that fucking eggshell, even in Michelin star restaurants, somehow a little bit of eggshell gets in that. And you're worried about the eggshell. I know you're gonna say, I'm different. You're not. Most of you shouldn't have been born. You should have rolled down inside of your mama's fat thigh. Based on, have you created or benefited the planet in any way, shape, manner, or form? And the answer is no. Yeah, but some of them will get up and leave. I'm not going to be part of a beauty contest. Fuck you. We do have, and then in your report, I wish I could see tears on the reports, You can say, you can feel like your tail's between your legs. You lined up 7 people and 4 got up and left. That's okay. The other 3 you got by the balls. If you don't hook one of those motherfuckers, something's wrong with you. And this is all on the templates. And it even says, pause, because you're waiting for a response. Pause doesn't mean you say pause. Now you laugh. We've had guys and gals send out the fucking stuff, pause, anchor chairman, that's not what you call him, and they misspell anchor on top of it. We may not like everything the president does, but he has changed the financial world forever. He is part and parcel of the greatest transformation of wealth ever seen on this planet. And you guys and gals are better positioned than anybody because one, you're going to be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. Two, you understand that there only has to be one moving part in our formula. That's a motivated seller. And three, you now understand what commercial debt really is all about. With interest rates as low as they are, I'll say it again and I'll take crap for this, it's a license to steal. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. It's like taking candy from a baby. Bruce Whipple, God love him, and I know he's a great friend, but he and I, on the closing end, I am a hammer close. I'm not here to convince you. If you can't see the worth of this, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. Bruce is at the other end of the continuum. He will assuage you into seeing his point of view, which is different than your point of view. That's not me. And it's also not the President of the United States, to name a couple. You either can see it because you got you're more than a paramecium, or I leave. I'm not there to, honey, you're either gonna fuck me, I'm not here to convince you to fuck me. I'm not buying the candy, whatever the shit that you guys do. I'm not interested in that. And here I am, 74, healthy as shit, pole vault every morning, rich, created billions with meatheads like you. I mean, but everybody's hard work, but there's certain ethnicities that are harder. We've got success stories across the board. I forget sometimes that Josh is Asian, because to me, he doesn't look Asian, but I mean, he is. He's half Korean. But I mean, it's across the board, whether you're black, yellow, blue, purple, no matter. We've got atheists, Catholics, Jews, Muslims, you name it. Hindis, we got everybody. We just had a guy, 80-year-old guy, agree to 7-year seller finance. 80 fucking years old. Originally, he came back and said, no, I'm 80, I don't know. Originally, it was 10-year note. He said, well, I'll be 90. But then he came back, I could do 7 years. 80! He's not gonna live to the end of the note. A lot of these people don't live to the end of the note. Remember, they're sick, they're spitting up blood. They had a stroke, their mouth is hanging down. They're not gonna make it. Don't worry about it. Give him over to Doc, let him worry about that shit. We had a guy get knocked out and go in supposedly convulsions. The doctor in the group went over, rolled him over, pulled his tongue, because he had swallowed his tongue. Pulled his tongue out of his mouth, patted him on the head, and went back and had a beer. That's it. Nothing I can do. When he wakes up, give him some water. That was the extent of his bedside manner, or the lack thereof. Docs aren't what they used to be. But before that, the board members are going to want to get together because they want to meet each other. You normally have a dinner before the board meeting and after the board meeting. If it's not a dinner before because you got no money, and this is what you pay for. Okay. Now so save your little pennies, save your little Deutschmarks, save your little rupees, and so buy some drinks. We had a deal on a board meeting a couple years ago. The bar bill was $800, and the guy didn't have but $200. And Sally could see it before I could, because he was turning white. Every time they ordered another round, he got a little more ill. But Sally went and we paid the bill, and so then they had 2 more rounds, and the guy's, he looks like he can't breathe anymore. There's no air in his lungs because he doesn't know, and he knows his credit cards are going to bounce. Then I passed him a little note. I said, the bill's taken care of. All of a sudden, he grew like 3 inches. He said, thank you, Mr. Peña. I said, thank my wife anyway. That's your natural habitat for some of you. Alcohol consumption goes up 500% with seminar attendees the nights we're in the pub. 500%! Well, we'll see how much you sip that shit when you get in the pavilion. And there's nobody watching, or you think nobody's watching you. And the people that supposedly don't drink in there. What happens in there stays in there. It's like Vegas, right? Well, it is the only game in town. 20 years from now, and those of you that are still alive, I'll be alive, believe me. 20 years from now, and they ask you, what did you do during the greatest transformation of wealth in the history of the planet? And you're going to say, well, I made a bunch of money because blah, 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 okay? And some of you will say, I just sat on my ass. He says, this is my career. I have one thumb up my ass and one thumb on and I just keep switching. I was dumbfounded, befuddled.
I was very surprised to...
Well, my God. I can't believe it, actually. You were very surprised. And so that's why I tell you, it's easier to start tight with leadership and loosen a little, as opposed to start loose and try to tighten up. But he said, I better appreciate when you used to say it's a bitch raising kids. That's an understatement. And saying it's a bitch raising kids isn't being derogatory at all. It's just, that's a fact of life. I'm having a religious experience here. Yes, but the Zoom calls will give you an opportunity, depending on how many we have, well, at least one, where you see your contemporaries, your colleagues in there, and you can tell who has done well by just their pictures on before I start. The ones that are looking down, and you'll wonder why there's somebody that can't wait to talk, can't wait, and I don't pick them. I pick somebody that's looking down, okay? And then I go to somebody that's, and then I go another one that's looking down. Oh, what about me? It'll probably be you. What about me? What about me? You didn't call on me yet. To the most casual observer, can see that it works and that you have no competition. It's remarkable. I mean, I still wonder how come there's no fucking competition. Normally you don't have any competition because the fucking thing doesn't work. This is just the antithesis of that. And I'll be able to tell by mid-afternoon tomorrow who has read the fucking shit I told you to read and who hasn't, based on your stupid questions. And I will call you out. And I will call you whatever I think is necessary or required to pull you across the goal line. When I say you're retarded, it's because you are retarded. For those of you in your late 40s and early 50s, for you to spend that much of your life wasted and come here, you should have killed yourself. Metaphorically speaking, of course. Because I would never want any of you. That's all horseshit. But it's good for the lawyers. I want everybody to live because everybody has a right to live. You're doomed. Sayonara, motherfucker. Cheers. I want you to rip their head up and shit down their fucking necks. I don't have anything planned for next year. So this could be my last hurrah. It's been a great run, and to have you guys, I'd like to say that you're the best group I ever had, but that'd be a fucking lie.